Welcome to the Hockey Writers Flames Faceoff, a weekly show with our top Calgary Flames writing crew, bringing you the latest news, rumors, trades, player grades, game results, and much more. From training camp to the playoffs, from draft day to the trade deadline, our team covers everything that happens with the Flaming Sea. So get set, get focused. It's time for the Flames Faceoff. Flames Faceoff. Flames Faceoff.
Hello, everybody. My name is Paul Quinney, and this is the Flames Faceoff, brought to you by the Hockey Writers. Now, we have our usual cast of characters with us from the Calgary Flames writing pool. I'll introduce them here quickly. Colton Pankiw, Greg Tysowski, and Brett Krauss. Welcome, gentlemen. We've got a lot to talk about today, so let's just dive right into it. Wanted to take a look at takeaways from the week. Actually, the week's not quite finished because they're playing Boston right now, as we're, but they've had a great week. They are now sitting at 10-3-5 after their convincing 5-2 win last night in over the New York Islanders. And as at Saturday, Flames sitting at they're a 690 club, second in the Pacific Division. Points at Saturday, they're among the top 5 or 6 teams in the league. And you've got a goal differential. It's quite remarkable, really, at plus 23. And so that they're mentioned now in the same breath as Carolina, Washington, Florida, right at the top of the league. So I want to get your take. How much do we read into this week? Calgary Flames fans putting the cork in the champagne bottle, or Colton, what are your thoughts, takeaways from the week and where they're sitting?
Yeah, I think they look quite good. I think heading into the season, I think I had some doubts, and they've really kind of erased them right away here. I think they're clicking on all levels. Obviously, Markstrom's been incredible. I'd say the Vezina frontrunner right now. And then, yeah, like guys like Gaudreau's really having a nice bounce back year. Lindholm's been great. Obviously, Mangiapane's kind of been the one that's been talked about all the time. He's had a fantastic start to the year. So I think they seem like they're really buying into Sutter's system right now. And, yeah, I think there's reason to be excited about this team.
Yeah, well, you've hit on a couple of points that I want to drill down into for further discussion. Greg, your thoughts on the week and where they're sitting?
Well, we had been discussing, the Flames' lack of firepower and not being able to score some goals. And when they did score goals, they were kind of against teams that, like Ottawa, that was really on a COVID, protocol tailspin. And also they played Buffalo, which has not been a great team, and they beat them soundly as well. But you know what? They're beating Boston right now 4-0. And so, and Boston's no slouch. So, I think this team, they have their ups and downs when it comes to goal scoring. But, if this is any indication, on this road trip, they seem to be getting back on track. And if they can get the goal scoring and you pair that with the solid defensive structure that Sutter seems to have implemented, you add that in with 2 goalies who are doing record-breaking stuff right now, there's really not a lot to complain about if you're a Flames fan. Yeah.
Well, Greg, you touched on something there, goal scoring. Brett, your thoughts on that? I mean, I was thinking, they potted, I think it was 14 goals. The Sabres. How much do you read into that? I mean, my take on that is for a few goals on those. Your thought scoring situation? I mean, one of the concerns I think I would have is when they get up against a good team, say the Leafs, Flyers, the Predators, somehow the goal scoring doesn't come as easy. It sort of dries up. Your thoughts on that department?
Yeah, I think, they're definitely their top 6 has been firing on all cylinders pretty much for the entirety of the season. I think it's, kind of makes sense to score less against good teams like Toronto, but I think one positive is, playing a team like Buffalo, they kind of tilted the ice there in the first period, and then they finally hammered it home in the second and ended up going up 5-0. So I still don't think they're getting enough scoring from their bottom six, but for right now it's working out because Mangiapane can't stop scoring goals, and Lindholm's still going, and Tkachuk seems even to be getting a few more as of late. So right now, yeah, they've got good offense right now, and one of the highest scoring teams in the league right now.
Yeah, well, on that point, evening out the scoring, getting it going beyond the first line, I wanted to drill down on that a little bit. Colton, your thoughts? I noticed, although I didn't see it last night against the Islanders, I noticed the game before they moved Backlund out of the center spot between Coleman and Mangiapane and replaced them with Monahan. Any thoughts on that? Did you notice anything when that was the line? What are your thoughts on it? Is it something we could continue to see going forward?
Yeah, I think it's a possibility. I think it's kind of Monahan with the slow start and then coming off that hip surgery too. I think they're maybe kind of easing him back in a bit, and he's looked better the last little while. It's still not the Monahan of old, but I think he's slowly starting to get more confident again after that, because obviously that's a big surgery to have done. So I think for the Flames' sake, if he is able to stay in that spot, or if they can put him up there more, I think that's great for them. Obviously, we know what he's capable of when he's at his best, which is just a easy 30-goal scorer in the league. So I think if he's able to just kind of get back to that again, then yeah, they would definitely look at leaving him in the top six.
Yeah. Greg, your thoughts on that? Things they could be doing to spread out the scoring a little bit, the points production?
Well, I think they're kind of moving Monahan farther down to the lineup is kind of Darryl Sutter's way of trying to spread the wealth around. But I find that when he's playing with these bottom six guys, he's not really producing anything 5-on-5. He's still getting some power play points because he still is on the power play unit. But when he was playing with the likes of Cheech or other guys like that, he wasn't producing. But then even for a few games, he was playing up with Mangiapane, and all of a sudden he had his first 2 5-on-5 points of the season, and then he gets moved back down the lineup. So I think it's their attempt to kind of spread things around, but I don't really know if Monahan is kind of capable of carrying a bottom six line. I think he needs some guys around him that can produce and he can feed to and get the puck back and forth to. And those bottom six guys, God bless them, they're doing a good job this year. They're playing well, but they're not scoring goals, and that's not really their role either. They're just supposed to kind of play more hard minutes and stuff like that. So yeah, I wish they would kind of move Monahan back up, because that's where he's going to be producing more 5-on-5.
Yeah. Brett, any thoughts on what they can do to help the other three lines boost production?
Yeah, I think, Monahan should play between Coleman and Mangiapane. That was, kind of my thought from the time they signed Blake Coleman. Just because both those guys are really good two-way forwards, and, Mangiapane has a really good motor, and he's in the corners and he's digging pucks, and he just kind of knows where to be. And I think kind of two guys like that who are good in their own end can kind of help ease Monahan's situation, because he still kind of doesn't seem like the Monahan of old. So, I think that would help a lot. And then, Backlund and Dubé have had some good chemistry, over this past few seasons. So, but yeah, after that, guys like the Trevor Lewises and the Tyler Pitlicks just aren't really doing it for the team right now. So, that could be something they look to come kind of the trade deadline season.
Yeah. Well, listen, I can't resist doing this, but Colton, you wrote an article a while back, maybe a week or so ago, Sean Monahan's rapid decline, both surprising and concerning. Are you walking any of that back based on what I think is a bit of a resurgence for him?
No, not really. I mean, he only has 2 goals this season, so I think it's
right.
it's a long ways from the guy that we have seen before. Like I said, I think like especially that 2018-19 season where I think he had north of 80 points. But I mean, even before that, he was a guy that you could always count on for 25, if not more goals. I think last season was his first as an NHLer that he didn't hit the 20 goal mark. So obviously I know injuries are playing a big part in that, but if he's able to kind of get back to that level again, that would be huge for this team going forward.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll resist starting trade rumors here tonight about Monahan leaving town. We'll save that for another show. But speaking of offense, Oliver Kylington, I mean, what can you say about him? He's extended his point streak. Well, it ended last night against the Islanders, but he was 12 points in 12 games up to Buffalo. How much of this blossoming do you think is due to the fact that he has Tanev as a partner? Greg, any thoughts on that? I mean, what explains this renaissance? Well, who is this guy?
Well, it's funny. Noah Hanifin kind of got his game back on track, last year playing with Tanev. And even going back to his Vancouver days, Tanev was kind of known to get some of these younger guys under his wing and kind of help them along and help their progression. So I think he's kind of a defenseman whisperer, if you ask me, and he's doing it again this year. And I know it's not all him, but I think having Kylington, who is such a smooth skater, when I watch him, I marvel at how fast he can go, and he gets into trouble, and then he can skate himself out of trouble pretty quickly. Like he can turn around and get back into the play faster than almost anybody I've seen, for the Flames in recent years. So I think it's a combination, but like Kylington has a point again tonight. He didn't last night, but he has one tonight. And so he's kind of, his points are still piling up. And so I just think when Sutter felt confident that he wasn't such a kind of a turnover machine anymore, that he would fit in well. And I'm actually pretty surprised at just how well he's kind of played and how solid he looks out there. And he's not perfect, but I think he adds something, that with a dynamic there with kind of the offensive flair, kind of like Hanifin did last year with Tanev. So
yeah.
I can't say enough about Kylington. I think he's, having a career year, and he will be, he's going to demand a lot more money than his league minimum $750,000 base salary he's making this year.
Yeah, well, let's get into that in a minute here. Brett, you wrote about Kylington coming back. Your thoughts on what accounts for it? Is it Tanev, or are there other things?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. I know I was, reading some tweets the other day about so many people were kind of fessing up to being so wrong about the Flames signing Tanev, but a lot of Canucks fans had even said he didn't look great the last year he was in Vancouver, and they kind of thought it was it for him. So it's kind of been like a rejuvenation, a renaissance, whatever you want to call it, for Tanev as well as Hanifin and Kylington, because Tanev's been great. And so I'm kind of of the opinion that Kylington and Tanev's styles of play kind of go very well together, because Tanev's not an offensive defenseman, takes care of his own end, and then will kind of jump into the play. But Kylington's just kind of all over the ice, and his speed is so good. As a defenseman myself with cinder blocks for feet, it's just amazing to watch. So, like his hands, his foot speed. I honestly don't really know if the Flames have had a defenseman that's that electric in as long as I've been watching them. So, no, I'm happy for Kylington, and he's been great so far, and I believe he has an assist on Mangiapane's goal tonight. So,
yeah, back producing points. Colton, I'm going to put you on the spot then. Greg touched on this. He what is it? He turns 25 in May next year, becomes an RFA. How much do you think it's going to cost to sign him? Any thoughts?
That's so tough, just given I think first, obviously, like it's still really early into the year, right? So you want to see how the rest of the season plays out. It's just tough given that there's such a small sample size. And obviously he's going to get a big raise, like Greg said. Whether or not they would be wanting to go long-term on just the 1 year. I'm not sure. I think maybe they might be a little hesitant to do that. But I'm curious to see what you guys think on it too. I really don't know how that's gonna play out at the end of the year, but it'll be an interesting one to watch.
I don't know, Greg, you got a number in mind?
Well, it wouldn't be the first time, like that the Flames kind of blew their wad on a big, one big year, and then they kind of regretted it. I remember they signed years ago goalie Roman Turek. He had a great start to a season, and they signed some big extension, and then he was pretty crappy. He kind of had so it's hard to gauge some of these guys when they have a hot start like this. But even if he really tails off in the points department and stays, a starting roster member on this team, I can see the Flames maybe signing like a bridge deal for 2 years, maybe somewhere $2 million or something, something not crazy, but if he has some outstanding year where he's producing almost a point a game right now, which is crazy, but if he has some 50 to 60 point year, then I think the Flames would have to, dig deep and kind of pay up. But I can see the Flames trying to give him kind of a 2 year bridge deal after this season, and hopefully they don't break the bank for the Flames' sake. But I can see that maybe a kind of a 1.5-2 million a season kind of thing. That's just spitballing off the top of my head.
Okay, 2 years, 2 million, going once, going twice. Brett, your thoughts on this? Are you going to go higher?
Well, yeah, hard to say. I mean, if he ends up scoring here 82 points in 82 games, but I kind of look at Mangiapane, who they kind of signed to the 1 year deal at league minimum and then to a 2 year at 2.5. And then he really became who he is right now. And so I think, yeah, I agree with Greg. I think somewhere in the probably more than 1 year for sure. But I'm going to say, yeah, 2 years, maybe $2.5 million.
Do we have three? I'm just kidding.
There you go. There you go. Well, look, now that we're talking money, let's talk about Mangiapane's money next year. He, as I've got it, at least for Friday I checked, and he's now tied with Ovechkin, Kyle O'Connor, Chris Kreider for second in goals scored in the NHL. How much do you think it's going to take to re-sign him? I mean, he's at 2.4 million now. Million. Kreider toils the Big Apple for 6.5. I don't know. Colton, if you're the general manager, what do you pony up to re-sign?
Yeah, again, that's a tough one. I think obviously this isn't just out of nowhere with him compared to Kylington, where you want to see it longer. I think he's last season how he played, even the year before that, he's really he's getting better. It seems like every single game. Again, it's tough just with some of these. I mean, I don't think it's crazy to suggest that he gets similar to those numbers you were saying. I mean, some may say that's too high, just given, I guess he hasn't prior to this season really put up anywhere near point per game numbers, but his goal scoring has been really consistent. He's a great two-way player. Yeah, I don't think it's crazy to think that he gets $6 million or even a bit more.
Yeah. Greg, where are you on his salary re-signing?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking, depending on how he finishes the year, he's on pace for, a crazy amount of goals right now. I don't even know what he's on pace for. He has 15 now. And I think there's 15 and is it the 19th game of the season? That's, he can't sustain that pace, but he's probably going to get 30 goals this year. Even if he tails off, he gets 30 easy this year. So 30 goal scorers in the NHL are paid pretty well. And so I think I agree with Colton. I don't think $6 million is out of the question, and if he goes nuts this year and scores 40 goals or something, 40 plus, look out. I think that he can hold the Flames ransom, so I'm in a way, I'm hoping he does tail off because I like to see him long-term in Calgary and if he's a 30 goal scorer, then for sure, I think the Flames are paying him $6 million.
Yeah. Brett, where are you on salary for Mangiapane?
Yeah, the way it's going right now, I think it's north of $6 million, maybe maybe even up to 7. I think you don't get a goal scorer like that who's second in the league. And if I don't think he'll sustain a 50 goal pace, but you never know. It could happen. Like, he could just keep scoring goals. I was reading an article the other day, and they were just saying he's just one of those guys who knows where to be when the puck's going to be there. And, when he's on, the pucks just come to him, and he knows how to put him in the back of the net. So, I mean, you look at the NHL stats the last couple of years, and, a lot of high-paid guys who get 40, 50 goals. So he could be getting a big ticket here if he's able to continue this pace. That's for sure.
Man, that's going to leave the Flames really, really tight on cap space for next year. Because I think Tkachuk, well, the minimum you've got to offer him is $9 million, so he'll go for north of 9. I don't know where Gaudreau would be, 7-ish, maybe higher. And now, Brett, if you're right, 7 for Mangiapane. That's going to be a problem. Yeah. And so on that, I wanted to touch on, how the Flames will pay for all of this. And one of the issues that's going on in the league right now is attendance. Calgary, according to stats I've read, is averaging about 3,000 fewer fans this year as compared to pre-pandemic attendance. And that's despite the fact that, they're a good team. They're putting up record numbers. Attendance in the entire league is down, and it's not just unique to hockey, it's other sports. What do you think's going on? What have you read on attendance? Any theories? Colton?
Yeah, I mean, it could be that there could be still some people that are, hesitant to go into big gatherings like that. But I think it's more so just maybe the effect that the pandemic had on people, just money-wise. Obviously, it's been a tough couple of years for people. So I think just that, and then with some of the prices for games, I know some markets aren't as bad, but obviously to go to a Flames game is not cheap, especially if you want to bring your family or whoever you're going with. So I think that just the money situation right now has more to do with that than anything else.
Yeah, Greg, your thoughts on what's the cause of this? Anything they can do to turn it around? Any specific thoughts?
I don't know, because the on ice product has been great. Like, they've only lost 3 in regulation so far this season. Like, they've been getting points in almost every game that they play. So they're obviously, improving the on ice is not the solution. And, just on a personal note, when I share season tickets with a group of other people. And when we were looking at games, I was kind of in the back of my head, kind of trying to push back some of my selections into the back half of the season, just, to kind of get through the, like the early winter where, the supposed, cases might rise and stuff like that. Like, I think that might be in people's minds, and there are people out there who just can't get in because, I now they have the QR code that you're scanning. So like, and that's much more of a, of a safeguard against fraud, the fraudulent, vaccine cards. So I just think, it's not easy to get into these games if you actually don't get your shots, your vaccination. So, and there might be enough people out there who just are not getting them. And so, I think sporting events are suffering. Like, I went to a Calgary St. Peter's game last night, and it was like empty, like there was, and it was the last game of the year, but still, I think it's just people in sporting events right now, and either they're a bit scared of maybe COVID, B, like there are people out there who still aren't getting vaccinated. So that's a no-go when you get to the front gate.
Yeah, hard to believe, but I hadn't thought of that QR code because you're not going to get into any arena anywhere in North America without it. Brad, any thoughts on your part for what's ailing attendance or keeping it low?
Yeah, I think kind of the same thing the guys said. I think a lot of people probably just aren't willing to go into big gatherings like sporting events. And I think too, it's probably an even bigger just sort of economic thing. I think Like I have a third-party ticket app, and we got decent seats for a Tuesday night against Nashville there a couple weeks for like $30. But then this Saturday against the Jets, it's over $100 just to sit in press level, like way up in the Saddle Dome. So, it's just, I don't think people are kind of willing to spend their money to go to Flames games. So I'd be really interested to kind of see how Sportsnet's viewership is doing, to see if it's climbed at all. Cause like you guys are right that the product is really good on the ice. So it'd be interesting to see if there's just more people watching on TV now, as even though kind of attendance is low right now at the Saddle Dome.
Wow. I'm interested to hear those prices that you mentioned for going to a Flames game. Ottawa, I went to see when the Flames came to town last Sunday. I think, it was last Sunday. Air tickets, in the Senators zone, about the hash mark 100 levels, about 7-8 rows back, and $117 a ticket.
Yeah,
I mean, that's ridiculously low. I mean, a lot of arenas you wouldn't get in the front door for $117.
Yeah,
places like Montreal. That's interesting. Well, we'll see, because it's the NHL, in contrast to other leagues, of course, is a gate-driven game. That's where the money's made. So hopefully they'll be able to get it back. Wanted to close off on goaltending. Greg, you wrote an article this week. Flames have the best goaltending duo in the NHL, and Colton, you came out with one today. Flames Markstrom chasing single season shutout record. Let's get right to it. Is he a candidate for the Vezina this year? Colton, your thoughts?
Yeah.
Vezina Trophy, Calgary?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, like I said earlier, I think he's the front runner right now. Just the 5 shutouts already on the season is just crazy. I think it's 14 starts now with last night. So that's just insane. And I mean, you have to think that obviously will start to slow down. I think it's just not sustainable to keep putting up shutouts that often, but it's been incredible. And it's a nice bounce back, because he was pretty inconsistent last season after getting that big deal. So I think it's really nice that he's been able to kind of bounce back and just prove how elite of a goalie he is.
Yeah. Greg, what say you, Vezina this year for Mr. Markstrom?
I think so. I think if he keeps us up, he has to be in at least one of the top 3 candidates that's nominated. But I will say this about him: if he does win the Vezina, he's going to have to say in his acceptance speech, how much he's thanking the Calgary Flames defensive-minded system, because not only is he getting shutouts, but like Dan Vladar got his first shutout against Ottawa, although not a great team. But I don't want to jinx it, but we're about 3 minutes away from Vladar getting his second shutout of the season. They're up, 4-1 or 4-0 right now. So if they can get Dan Vladar shutouts, who is a lesser goalie, I think the defensive-minded system of the Flames is certainly helping both of these guys, and Markstrom in particular, because he's already, in my mind, a pretty good goalie. And if you give him a system in front of him where he can thrive, I think he could definitely have a chance to break Kiprusoff's record, which is 11 shutouts, and the NHL one, correct me if I'm wrong, is 15. So I think he definitely has a chance to get both this year.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Brett? Who should get a nomination for Best Supporting Cast to Markstrom? I mean, a lot of people, Sutter deserves the credit because of his system. You're thinking on that?
Yeah, I think so. They're one of the top defensive teams in the league right now. But you also have to give a ton of credit to Markstrom. You watch the games; he's made some incredible saves, and he's played really well. So I think, it's a bit of back and forth. The Flame system is working in his favor, but at the same time, he's also bailing them out, once or twice a game. So I think, right now he has to be a nominee for the Vezina. And shout out to Elliot Friedman for being, I think, one of the only media guys I saw that made the pick of Markstrom for the Vezina. So be interesting to see if that happens for sure.
we've run out of time, but as always, that was a great discussion. And thank you, everybody, for joining us for another episode this week. And to make sure you don't miss an edition of the Flames Face-Off, what you can do is subscribe to this YouTube channel. Give us a follow on Twitter and Facebook, a like on YouTube and Facebook, and be sure to share this show with your fellow Flames fans. And also, I want to plug our the Hockey Writers morning skate newsletter. I'm sure it's something you'll love. Every weekday morning, the Hockey Writers morning skate newsletter comes right into your inbox, free of charge, and it's got all the latest news from the hockey world. In any case, we look forward to seeing you next week. Take care, everybody.